Hello, everyone. This is Team Worf, and this is Project Activity Vlog number 1.
We'll start off with our introductions. And I'm Kayla Natha, so hello everyone. An interesting fact about myself, at least one that I find interesting, is that I love cryptocurrency and I'm big into yield farming. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then you can definitely ask.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alok Paranjape, and I guess the interesting fact or skill that I'm sharing, I guess it's more of a goal than a fact, but that I'm using the material and the classes from this so I can finally contribute to an open source video game that I've been playing for years. I guess it's just by the end of this, I want to be able to sort of give back to that.
Hi everyone, my name is Vandan Chauhan. An interesting fact about me is my curiosity. I like to learn about things even if they are not related to our field of software or engineering. Also, I am a talkative person, so feel free to have a conversation with me.
All right, so the next topic we'll be discussing is to do with the background and our project idea. So the background of how we came up with our project idea. So basically apps like Notability that everyone's familiar with, well, they're useful for taking notes in class, but they're often difficult to share information between students with. Typically they get a little tedious to have to share individual notes with individual people, by request. People sometimes make Discord servers for classes, but since Discord is mostly used as a chat, what gets shared as notes is sandwiched between lots of discussion that's often tiring to look through and miss if you're not part of the chat at the time. And the last consideration is that this web app is envisioned to fill that niche by making sharing seamless and moving chat to the sidelines, but still preserving the important aspects of each of those activities. We'll move on here to the project idea.
So I guess the main idea here is to make an app that makes it really easy to share notes with the peers of your class. At the same time, it also is supposed to make it very easy for the user to take notes in class while keeping both of those functions organized. And lastly, just in order to preserve that, communication aspect of Discord, we're also making it so that users are able to chat with each other, just sort of on the side. And it also might be possible to sort of flag parts of that conversation as notes easily just in the same section. I guess when you sum it all up in one statement, the main idea behind this project is that we think learning should be in a more efficient and collaborative experience rather than just each individual person being obligated to meticulously take notes.
So, what exactly are notes? For the purpose of this project, we believe that notes have a more inclusive definition. Generally, notes are known as the strictly long-form pieces that are written alongside meetings, like one might do with Notability. But they aren't limited to just that. We feel that notes also include sticky notes, the key pieces of information that everyone should know. Also, the discussion in any class Discord server usually has important comments that also qualify to be categorized as notes.
So I guess, like we were saying previously, there are some specific reasons for our making this project. So as we were saying previously, currently with our current setup, students are forced to keep track of notes across lots of apps, and sharing those notes takes lots of effort. For instance, on Notability, your main option is either doing it to Dropbox or creating a separate PDF or just straight an email. Our app is designed to fix this problem. Another part of that problem is how information is currently interpreted. Rather than making notes an individual thing that is stored in one place and occasionally bridged to another, we're making it so that notes are shared collectively in one place rather than in a single personal folder. Thus, we think this will save students time and effort.
All right, let's discuss now the impact. And so part of discussing impact, we were asked to fill out this quote. So in square brackets, you'll see what we filled in for the current situation, what will be the future situation, and lastly, the action that we think we need to take in order to achieve that. So I'll read it out here. When we are done, instead of thinking twice about sharing a note or having to sift through chat logs, we will now have quicker and more efficient access to class notes, and sharing them won't be as tedious. So we think we need to learn and use best practices from this class to create a web app that fills this need.
The next thing that we should talk about for a project like this is who is involved with this project. So when it comes down to the audience, this application is mostly for the students, secondary or post-secondary. These are the kinds of people who have a lot of meetings and aren't necessarily with each other all the time, but they still take a lot of notes. Talking about whose opinion matters, it's not only the main user base, that is the students, but also the educators, the people whose presentations and meetings are being used to take the notes. When it comes to the audience and where they are, you can say that the audience are physically isolated since they are attending remote meetings, but they are digitally connected. They might be taking notes separately, but our project is supposed to connect them digitally. Also, they would be from English speaking regions since the GUI and all the other elements of the app would be in English.
All right, and lastly, we'll talk about the constraints. So when it comes to constraints, we see as a knowledge constraint, we see our lack of knowledge of making an app, especially of this scale, and with these features being a constraint, as well the required project management and design techniques that we're learning and continuing to learn in this class, not being super familiar with them and them all being new to us is a further constraint to our knowledge. Another constraint would be only accommodating one of the various input devices on which people take notes. So we feel like imposing this constraint by choice is something that will help us limit our scope. As we all know, notes can be taken on touchscreens and with handwriting and stuff like that, or on mobile devices, and we'll try and just pick one input device so that, as mentioned, our scope is within limit. Another constraint regarding technology revolves around us not knowing the best technology stacks to use in order to implement our solution. So although we're being exposed to some technology stacks like Bootstrap and other tools that help us, make our web apps more interactive and code them, we're new to all of these things. And so even though we know about them, we might not know how best to use them. And aside from that, I'm sure there's other technology stacks out there that we probably could use, but we just aren't aware of. The last constraint we'll talk about is a lack of feedback from students, since they're already busy, and the exact student that, or sorry, the exact user that we'd need to be able to give feedback to test our product with, or our intended app with, would be students like us who are already busy and may not be available to just use an app and give feedback. So that could be a potential constraint in that regard. All right, so I think that brings us to the end of our slides, and thank you for listening. We appreciate your time. Take care.